Good morning, everyone. Today is Saturday, February 18th, 2017, and our family is traveling to Petal, Mississippi, which is just outside of Hattiesburg, Mississippi, to the Southern Strings Dulcimer Festival. This is, I think, their 10th year with the festival, and this is Joey's third time going. We missed last year. The first time that Joey had ever played a dulcimer was at this festival. They call it a festival, but really it's a great big workshop. And what happens is throughout the day, actually for several days, students come of all different ages and walks of life, and they can come there to try an instrument for the first time, take beginner classes, bring their instruments, take advanced classes, and just have a good time. But and then there's also competitions. And there's a few concerts. Well, our family usually only goes on Saturday, and Joey is the only one that registers at this moment. And he is going to be going there today and taking classes, and also he's going to be competing. So I thought that it might be kind of fun to do an interview with Joey. So before we get started, let's have Ron say good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so Ron's the driver. Okay.
Bad luck, but I can't turn my head.
And he's eating breakfast at the same time. And we're in Joey's car. And this is me. And then we've got Joey. I've got to scoot it back here so I can get him on the camera. Hi, Joey.
Morning, YouTube.
Actually, YouTube would be your friends. But
Well, that too. Okay. Morning, everybody.
So the funny thing was is this morning, just as we were leaving the house, I realized that all three of us had dressed in olive or forest green and blue jeans. So we didn't mean to match, but we're going to end up matching. I apologize for the shaky camera. I have to hold it still on the seat so you can see Joey. So Joey, you want to tell us a little bit about what do you want to tell us about?
What is the interview about?
Well, it's a day in the life of a hammered dulcimer competitor. How about a day in the life of a hammered dulcimer player?
Okay.
Okay? Because we decided he's not going to compete today. He's going to, when the competition comes, he's just going to go up there and play and have a good time, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's going to work a lot better.
Yeah.
On the psyche. Especially since he was up late last night.
Working on homework, yeah.
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 So, if you look at that dazed over, glazed over face, that's called being a college student.
Yeah.
And he's taking some high-level courses right now where he's got to do a lot of research, study, and writing.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you like his one answers? This intelligent being who gives you the yep, yep, yep.
Usually my brain is very cohesive while I'm in class, and then it's not required to be functioning for the rest of the week.
Okay, so, all right. So Joey, what are you going to be doing today?
Well, from what the schedule says, it looks like there's going to be 2 periods of classes for all the different instruments. If Guy George is going to be there again this year, then they'll probably have a hammer dulcimer, mountain dulcimer, Irish tin whistle, maybe the drums that he plays, which I think it's like the steel drums. I think he plays the steel drums. They might have those classes there today. And there'll be 2 periods for 2 about hour-long periods of that in the morning.
Sometimes the sultry.
Sometimes the sultry, yeah. And then we will, there's, I think, at least 1 open stage, and then 1 planned stage with the Dulcimer Orchestra later on this afternoon, which is going to be really neat to hear all the different people playing and arrangements they make, because they're going to combine different folk instruments and put on a big show for everybody. And then this afternoon, I think it was starting at 4. I think it was 4, the competitions start, and first it'll be the mountain dulcimer competition, or preliminaries for an hour, then it'll be the hammer dulcimer competition, which I'll be competing in, and then once the preliminaries are done, they'll have the final round, which will take about an hour, So by about 6 o'clock, I think the competitions are supposed to be done, and we'll know who the winners and the placers and whatever are for the competition.
So who is Guy George?
Guy George is one of the other major
circuit teachers.
So yeah, circuit teachers. He's a well-known, very, very talented player. Friends with, usually everybody at the circuits knows him. Kind of like with Mr. Jess.
A lot of these teachers travel all around the country teaching.
Right.
So
lots of years under his belt with playing experience.
Tell me a little bit about Jess, who you take from mostly. Your first teacher.
He is, as Mom would probably say, he is a circuit court justice for the a Supreme Court.
Justice.
Okay, I said that wrong. My brain hasn't totally turned on this morning.
For the state of Mississippi.
Supreme Court Justice for the state of Mississippi, and but he's
a very down-home, really fun guy.
Yeah.
Who wears overalls and teaches hammer dulcimer, and everybody calls him Jess.
Yeah.
And he loves the Lord, and he's invested a little bit in helping Joey become a player.
Yeah.
He was Joey's first teacher, and
and I'll actually be going to a one-day workshop with him on the 20th of May to go teach for the first time, to help him do some teaching. So that'll be really neat.
Jess really encourages people to play, and he works very hard at trying to help new players get started. He loves the instrument and wants to encourage people to continue with it.
Not be daunted by the instrument, and just
have fun.
To realize that it's a perfectly easily playable instrument. It's not something like overly complicated that takes a whole lot of practice and know-how to get into his playing, and he usually tries to make that apparent.
For Joey and Jess. For Cherie, it's like, all right, I can't see the strings. Where do I hit the thing? It's terrible. Okay, so Joey has competed once before. You want to tell a little bit about that competition?
Not particularly. I mean, it was I didn't go into that competition by choice. I
turned to him and said, "You're competing."
Well, no, we arrived and we spent most of the day there, and then about halfway through the day, I had no intention of competing because I didn't have anything ready to play for the competition. And Mama walked over and she said, "See that board over there? Sign your name on it. You're going to compete in the competition." And I kind of looked at her like, "Oh," and she goes, "Yeah, you don't really have a choice. Put your name down. You're going to compete in the competition." So I competed in the competition. I was a nervous wreck and didn't place.
Got disqualified.
Yeah, I got disqualified because I misunderstood the rules because medleys weren't allowed. And at the time, what I had put together, what I thought I had, at least one of the things that I was actually pretty good at when I was playing it was a medley, so I didn't realize that those weren't allowed until after the competition. So I got disqualified for that apparently. I've got a better plan for this year, a lot more practice under my belt. So hopefully maybe I'll at least just make it through the preliminary round. And just get to share my music with everybody.
That's what we've been talking about all morning.
Yeah.
It'd just be nice if he could play and just have people hear him play. He doesn't usually have an opportunity to play for anybody.
Yeah.
So we're going to make more videos. It seems like people like your videos online.
Yeah.
If you'd like to hear Joey play hammer dulcimer, would you please comment, because he doesn't really believe it. So, he always thinks he's not really good enough. But if you like his playing, would you please make a comment below so that we can prove to him that people actually want to hear him play? Right?
Yeah.
He doesn't believe that.
Yeah. I know people like hearing the instrument, but I just don't ever usually feel like I'm the big YouTube talent like everybody else is out there. So
what inspired you to play the hammer dulcimer?
Actually, it was going to the Hammond, Louisiana Ren Fest, or Renaissance Festival. We usually just call it the Ren Fair. we went. A friend of mine took me I think it was 6 years ago now. He took me to the Renaissance Festival, and out in one of the lanes. I'd say lanes. It's, I guess, just one of the streets. We usually call it lanes. Out in one of the lanes, there was a dulcimer player who's been playing for. I mean, after this additional 5 years, he's been playing for a very long time. His name is Vince Conway, and a lot of talent, really friendly guy. I got a chance to stop. He was standing there. I asked him a bunch of questions. I watched him play, and I don't really believe in the whole love at first sight thing, but I don't know. I looked at the hammer dulcimer, and I was like, I need to learn how to play one of these, because this, I think, is like my instrument that I can play. So after that, we heard about. How did we hear about the Dulcimer Festival, the Southern Strings Festival?
Papa looked into it, and I looked into it.
So we
Excuse me.
They kind of researched it, found out about it. We went to the first one a few years ago, and met Mr. Jess there for the first time, and I got up to play, and I just took to the instrument really easily, loved playing it, kind of proficient with it right in the beginning. Everybody was really impressed with how well I could play it. I apparently made a really good impression on Mr. Jess, and as a kind of graduation gift, Mom and Papa bought me my first hammer dulcimer, and I guess that's
right there on site from Guy George.
Yeah, and I guess that's kind of the end of the story, and that's.
And then you've had some people encourage and influence you along the way.
I've been building a lot. Building a lot of camaraderie amongst kind of the local dulcimer players, or I say the local dulcimer players, but the kind of the Gulf Coast dulcimer players.
And now you're part of the association.
Yeah. And we're building the new hammer dulcimer club for the south of sort of Jackson Hattiesburg section, for all the players down here, because there's a lot more dulcimer groups and conventions that seem to happen kind of not really upstate, but more kind of towards the Arkansas-Tennessee line, and a lot less around here closer to the Gulf Coast, but we do have some players down here. So Mr. Don Hill wanted to put a group together for us down here, and so we've been gradually starting to build. I think we've had 3 or 4 meetings since about the middle of last year, and so we're hoping to build that and really start getting a good group of people for down here, so we can contribute to.
And if you're interested, I'm going to put that information on this YouTube video. Okay, so you can look at it. Okay, so Joey, what are you going to be playing today? What's going to be your song list?
Whiskey Before Breakfast. I'm going to start out with Whiskey Before Breakfast, kind of just a little folk
You're not
piece.
Drinking whiskey before breakfast.
No, as Mr. Jess would say when he taught it to us, he was kind of amused at the first time he taught us Whiskey Before Breakfast. He taught it to us in a church, and now I'm going to be competing in a church playing Whiskey Before Breakfast, so yeah. I'm sure we're all going to laugh about that at some point. But no, it's a nice, fun little fast folk tune. It has a really good kind of flow to the way the progression of the song, so kind of good way to get into it. And then I'll be following that up with my own, interpretation of Moonshadow by Cat Stevens, which, oddly enough, I put the composition for it together before I knew the song, because Mama would sing it every now and then she came in and said, "Hey, Joey, you want to learn this song?" And she kind of sang the chorus a little bit, and then I was like, wow, that's a really good chorus. So I actually composed my arrangement for the chorus before I ever even really learned about the song, and then I went and learned the song, realized how much I liked it, and then put a composition together for it. And then those are the first 2 songs I'll be playing for the preliminary round. If I make it through the preliminary round and place in the top 3, then I'm going to be playing Edelweiss from the movie The Sound of Music. I'm sure everybody knows that and loves that song. A really beautiful piece. And
what's special to me, all of these songs have meaning between Joey and his mom and me and Ron, because because the first song he's going to sing, the first song he's playing is he was influenced by his teacher. He also has a teacher. He had a teacher who's still a friend.
Still has a teacher, but I haven't worked with him in a while.
Timothy Seaman, who is a really extraordinary hammer dulcimer player, and also teaches on the national circuit.
Yep.
And
through Skype too.
Yes.
So if we can include his information, if he would like us to include his information, if anybody wants to take lessons from him and you're in other parts of the country, that's
he really
I was
helped.
his first Skype student because I was his experiment to start getting that program where he could teach through Skype. So
he really helped to advance Joey. Excuse me, I got to switch hands. It's getting bad. Okay, advanced Joey beyond. Beyond where he was, and he started teaching Joey the two-handed technique.
Or the split hand technique.
That was dumb. Okay.
Separated hand
technique. Thank you, Timothy. And so he's really good about teaching that sort of stuff. And Timothy can teach just about any folk instrument that exists.
He's really good player.
Okay, and then what are you going to play? I'm sorry. The second song is because when Joey was little, I had my nephew over on New Year's Eve, and I used to love that song, and we were out walking on New Year's Eve, and the moon was full and bright, and our little nephew had never been in the woods before, and he was jumping all over the moon shadows. So I was singing the song to him. Joey was little, and I was going down the road singing, "I'm being followed by a moon shadow." And so Joey said, "Oh, I like that." So when he got older, he picked them up. Okay, so tell us the other two.
And then Edelweiss. You got to tell us about Edelweiss.
Okay, Edelweiss is special to me because it was my dad's favorite song of all time. And so when I wanted to learn how to play guitar, he said, if you go learn how to play a real song on your friend's guitar. I used to babysit a little girl, and when I'd babysit her at night, on Friday nights, I would tinker on her guitar. So I figured, well, if I could, how could I impress Dad, right? He said, if you can learn a song, I'll get you a guitar. I just wanted the cheap old, back then we had a store called Barker's. Anybody remember Barker's? Well, it was like Walmart, okay? I just wanted a cheap Walmart guitar. And he said, if you learn how to play a song, well, I'm thinking, well, I ought to learn how to play his favorite song, right? So I learned how to play Edelweiss, and I came home and I played it for him. He cried. And on my 16th birthday, he bought me a really nice guitar. So I was 16, and that's how I started out. So I played it for Joey, and when I got my first mandolin, which has meaning to me from my grandmother, I taught myself to play Edelweiss. Yeah. So Joey does a really nice job of Edelweiss. Yeah.
And I don't play it for Grandpa's sake, but I play it because I love The Sound of Music so much, and that was one of my favorite songs from The Sound of Music. It really is a beautiful song. And then the final piece I'll be playing is Jesu Joy of Man's Desiring, which I'm going to be kind of playing a mashup, or not a mashup, but a sort of developed arrangement of it with influences from Mr. Tim, because I actually learned the song from watching, pulling the original version up from YouTube and pulling up Mr. Tim's version on YouTube. Because he was my teacher.
I wanted to play the song because
that was the song. That was, instead of playing the traditional wedding march at her wedding, that was the song that she had played as she walked in on her wedding.
To marry
Papa. So she, we didn't plan this script beforehand, so she's like feeding me lines. She's got cue cards up there in the front seat telling me what I'm supposed to be saying. So, so I learned that one kind of because she wanted me to learn it, and kind of because I wanted to learn it for her sake. And but so my arrangement is kind of a combination of my own arrangement and influences from Mr. Tim, because he's a lot of where I learned the original song from. So
okay, so now you're going to rest your brain for a little while. We're about in Wiggins right now, so you got about another 45 minutes. Yeah. And we were up at the crack of dawn, 5 o'clock. He was up studying until probably 11, so he's probably going to catch about an hour, maybe about 30 minutes of sleep back there.
I don't know. The back of the car is not particularly comfortable to sleep in.
And that would be why. And that would be why, okay? Kind of cramped.
A little bit.
Yeah, we bring all of our own food, our own drinks, everything. We have to financially and for health reasons.
And it saves a lot more money than having to constantly be buying stuff out on the road.
And you don't really know what you're eating out there. We're trying to stay healthy and take care of our temples.
Yeah.
So so Joey, thank you for the interview. We wish you a lot of success today. Mostly we hope that you have a lot of fun, and we look forward to hearing you playing later. I know the people watching are going to be interested in hearing your music, because every time I put you up, you get the most likes.
And I really don't know why, because that was when she filmed that one. She literally walked in with the camera as I was practicing one day, and she just kind of filmed it, and then I found out it got up on YouTube. So
I sneak him in, y'all. He hates it when I do that, okay?
Well, I have a thing that if it's going to go out for people to hear, I feel like it really needs to be polished and well arranged and well played and eloquently done so that people can see the best that it can be. But
that's why I sneak
maybe that's
up on
just
him.
me.
That's why I sneak up on him and video him when he doesn't know. Anyway, all right, Joey. Lots of success today. Have a great time.
Yep, I'm sure Mom will be interviewing me at the end of the day on the ride home.
And I'll be going, so it's okay that you lost, son. Did you have a good time? Okay, y'all. We'll see you in a little while.
Bye, YouTube. Bye, everybody.